Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. As you can see, it's your girl Damaged Diva back with another video. And as you can see by the title below, today's video is going to be about being left in the snow naked. Yes, so let's get into it. And also guys, before we get started, go ahead and grab your wine, your coffee, your tea, or me, my hot chocolate. Y'all look at my mug. Isn't she cute? She is cute. I love my mugs. I need to stop buying them because I got too many. And today it says, I saw that, karma. I thought this mug was fitting. I thought it was fitting. So guys, let's get into the story. So guys, now when I was about 19, 20-ish, as I said, I have a lot of throwback stories. I mean, I done some wild things. I went through some things back in the day. Yes. And just a disclaimer, I do not think that I'm perfect. I have not been perfect. I have not. But back in the day, and even now, I still have a lot of stories to tell. So, on with the story. So, back in the day, you know, I was 19, 20-ish, and I used to work at a department store, and I used to work midnights. Well, I would call my boyfriend at the time to let him know when I was going to leave to go to work. I would always talk to him before, you know, I left that night to go to work. And we both were still staying at home because, like I said, we were young. And I called him, and his sister answered the phone. And so I'm like, hey, you know, we're going to call him Jack. We're going to call him Jack. Okay, so I'm like, hey, can I speak to Jack? And so she was like, well, Jack isn't here. He's at the hospital. I said, well, he at the hospital. He okay? And she was like, well, he got shot. I was like, he got shot? And she was like, yeah, somebody tried to rob him and they shot him. And I'm like, oh my God. And she was like, but he okay. You don't need to go to the hospital. He okay. You don't have to go to the hospital. And so I'm like, okay. I said, but what hospital is he at? And so she tells me. So I hang up the phone and I immediately call in to work. You know, and I'm like, you know, you guys, I'm not going to be able to make it in today. I'll see you tomorrow. And so, you know, they okayed it for me to be off. And, you know, I told my sister because she used to drop me off at work every night. And so I was like, you know, hey, instead of, you know, going to work, I need you to drop me off at the hospital. Because, you know, I'm telling her, hey, Jack done got shot. I don't really know what's going on with him. I need to go check on my man. And so she was like, okay. And so she takes me up there and she leaves. And so immediately when I walks into the emergency room, I see his mom and his stepdad sitting there. And I see some other girls, you know, with them. And I go over to talk. And I was like, hey, you know, what's going on? And so she tells me, you know, he got robbed. And, you know, they shot him in the leg. But he, you know, he's going to be okay. He's going to be okay. Everything is going to be fine. You know, they left him in the snow naked. And I was like, what? She was like, yeah, he was all beaten up. And, you know, they just beat him up and they shot him. You know, his mom used to exaggerate. Real bad. You know, they beat him up real bad, whatever, and he, you know, they shot him and they stole all his stuff and his shoes, because this was around the time when the Jordans first came out. And he was a big fan of Jordans. He always was one of the guys that had to have them first. You know, he was standing in lines waiting on them. He was that guy. And so, you know, they took everything, you know, and he was actually got shot in his neighborhood. And so, so finally, one of their nurses come out and tell his mom, you know, you can go back there and see him. And so she goes back there. And so, you know, we sitting and we waiting. And finally, she comes out. And so she said, okay, she comes to me and she was like, okay, he wants to see you. And I was like, okay. And so I get up to go back there. And so his dad was like, you know, I want to get a chance to see him because they was about to take him off to surgery. And they was just letting us see him before he went to surgery. And so his dad was like, I want to see him, so don't be long. I said, okay, I'm going to be right back. So I go back there, and I'm like, oh, you my baby. And I'm looking at, because I'm just expecting to see him all beat up, and, you know, because his mom was like, you know, he was just beat up and his face was messed up, and I get back there with nothing wrong with his face. Like, he was perfectly fine. I mean, fine. Like, ain't nothing wrong with his face. Like, he is fine. He's just shot. But I'm like, you know, oh, you okay? You okay? And so he was like, you know, I'm gonna be all right. You know, they shot me and this and that, whatever. They took all my stuff. And I'm like, you know, okay. And he was like, what you doing out there, though? I said, what you mean? I came to see you. He said, yeah, but what you doing out there in the lobby? I was like, I'm not doing nothing. I'm sitting with your mom. And he's like, okay, well, don't talk to nobody. I was like, huh? And he was like, yeah, don't talk to nobody. Don't say nothing. Just be quiet. Don't talk to nobody. And so I don't know for the life of me what I was on when I was younger. But when I said that I didn't have a clue, baby, I couldn't buy a clue when I was 19. I could not buy a clue. And he was like, you know, I don't want you talking to anybody. I was immediately thinking, oh, you know, my man is trying to protect me, you know, in some type of way. You know, he's trying to protect me. And I'm thinking, you know, well, maybe the guys that robbed him, he think, you know, they gonna come back, or, you know, something or whatever. So, you know, I need to do what my man say. So I tell him, I said, you know, your dad wants to see you, so I'm gonna have to go back out here and so he can come back. And he was like, no, I want you to stay right here until I go to surgery. You stay right here with me. And I'm like, but your dad, he's like, I don't care. He said, you just stay right here. So I'm like, okay. And so, you know, I do. I stay there with him or whatever. So they get ready to take him off to surgery. And I go back out to the lobby. So his dad was like, what happened? I was like, I'm so sorry. I said, but Jack would not let me come back out. I said, he wanted me to stay right there with him until he went off to surgery. I was like, I tried. And so I sit down. So the nurses come back out and they move us to a private waiting room. So, you know, me, his mom and dad, and it was initially 3 other girls. And one of them left. Well, actually, 2 of them ended up leaving. And so we goes back to the waiting rooms, and one of the girls returned. And so she had like sandwiches and stuff from McDonald's. She had went and got food. And, you know, she was passing them out to his mom and dad and stuff. And so I'm still, you know, sitting here thinking like, you know, who is these girls? You know, maybe they his cousins or somebody, you know. I'm not, just like I said, when I was younger, I did not have a clue. Even though I had never met these girls before, ever. And I had never met any cousins. I don't even think he had cousins that he knew of. And so I'm like, you know, I'm just sitting here with not a clue. And the thing about me is I have always been a talker. Like, I will be a conversation starter in a minute, especially when I get bored. I will get to running off at the mouth. So the mom and dad, they had started, it was late, because mind you, I work nights. So the mom and dad had started dozing off, going to sleep, and, you know, it was just me and these, you know, other 2 girls, you know, sitting here. One was kind of sitting beside me, and the other one was kind of like sitting over, you know, off to herself. And so the one that was beside me, you know, I turned to her and I was like, hey, you know, what's your name? And let's say she said her name was Bella. So let's say her name was Bella. And so I'm like, you know, hey, what's your name? And she's like, Bella. And so I'm like, okay, Bella, you know, so I tell her, you know, my name. And so I said, so what are you to Jack exactly? And she was like, she kind of, you know, laughed to herself, like, I'm his girlfriend. And when I tell you, like, my mouth just dropped open, like, and like my chest, my heart felt like it was just about to jump out my chest. I'm like, I mean, it just started beating real fast, like, what? I'm like, no, what? You his who? Y'all, this day and time, that wouldn't have went over too well. But back then, I couldn't buy a clue. I couldn't buy a clue. And so she said, yeah, I'm his girlfriend. And I was like, no, that can't be, because I'm his girlfriend. And so she was like, really? And I said, yeah, you know, really, I'm his girlfriend. And so she goes on to say, I was with him when he bought that purse. And so I looked down at my purse. I said, this purse? And so she was like, yeah. You know, I had my little black on black Dooney and Burke. And I'm like, this purse? And she was like, yeah, I was with him when he bought that purse. He said he was buying it for his sister. And I was like, well, clearly, you know, you see it's not for his sister. He bought me this for Christmas. And so she looks at my watch. Now, everybody that knew me back in the day in my teens know that I loved me some Marvin the Martian. Loved him. I loved me some Marvin. I had Marvin the Martian dishes and just shirts and ink pens and watches. You know, I had a lot of gifts. And people would give me gifts and stuff, you know, with Marvin the Martian. And even as I got into my 20s or whatever, I was still Marvin the Martian crazy, that I even had another ex. He ended up getting a tattoo of Marvin the Martian on his chest. But, I mean, so everybody knew I loved Marvin the Martian. And so she was like, yeah, where you get that watch? He gave you that? And I was like, yeah. She was like, And she was like, I went with him when he, you know, got that too. He had me, you know, take him to go and pick up those gifts or whatever. And that he was saying was for his sisters. And I was like, well, you know, he got me all this stuff. They were all gifts from him, you know. And so, you know, I'm sitting here and I'm just trying to take it all in, because I'm like, she got to be lying. Like, she's lying. She's not telling me the truth. I know she's not. I don't care what she's saying. She is not telling me the truth. This can't be. But we carried on conversation, and she's just, you know, we kind of exchanging stories, because I'm like, you know, this is my man, you know. He's with me all the time, you know. When we're not at work, we're together. You know, we go out every weekend. I mean, he take me out all the time. Like, he is not cheating on me with nobody. Can't be. No, not at all. But anyway, we steady exchanging stories or whatever. And so, mind y'all, now, I wasn't like sexual. I wasn't like really out there. So he was like, you know, one of my first. And I'm like, you know, that I experienced a lot of things with. So I asked him, I'm like, hey, I said, why we talking? I said, you know, when y'all get, you know, intimate and stuff or whatever, is he, you know, going down on you? And she was like it was, you know, nothing. Like, girl, yeah. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, that ain't nothing. And I was like, oh my God. Because I thought, you know, that's something you just share with special people. You don't just be out here willy-nilly doing all that with everybody. And so I'm like disgusted now, just pointing like, I cannot. And so I don't know how, I don't really quite remember how the other girl ended up in the conversation, but let her tell it, he was seeing her too. And so I'm like, this is not happening. I'm like, this is just not happening. So you mean to tell me I'm sitting up here in the waiting room with a bunch of girls that claim to be his girlfriend? And I'm like, this can't be happening. So finally, he was out of surgery, and we was all able, his mom and dad was able to go back and see him first. So when they went to see him, they went home. So we all ended up going back there in the room together. It was 3 of us. We went back there together, and his eyes, when I was like, they was like dollar signs, they got like really big. And so I'm the emotional one. I'm like, what's going on? You don't have to tell me, Jack, what's going on? Yeah. And so, you know, the rest of them was kind of, you know, quiet and had smirks and stuff, you know, whatever. And so the one girl that was like sitting across from us, he was like immediately just like, you know, F you, I don't know what you talking about, whatever. So, you know, she was like, you know, but what, F you too. And she left. So now it's just me and the girl that was sitting over Messy Bella, that was sitting over beside me. And so I'm like, you know, he was like, I'm not going with her. He's like, she just a friend. We just really cool or whatever. You remember I told you I had a homegirl? Well, this is her. He's like, she just a friend. We ain't going together or whatever. She's not my girlfriend. She's just a friend. And so when he said that to me, you know, in her face, I took it for what it was. I didn't, you know, come back with, you know, well, she said XYZ out there, you know, in the waiting room or whatever. I didn't even ask him about none of that. I didn't say none of that. I just when he told me that she was just a friend and she was standing there, I took it for what it was. I was like, okay, well, y'all just friends. And so, you know, me and him, I'm sitting on his bed talking to him, you know, and she was like moving around the room, like cleaning up stuff. Like, you would have thought she was a maid. She was moving around, you know, cleaning up stuff, making sure he had water in his pitcher and, you know, just moving around the room. So eventually, I go home. And so, you know, because it's way late. It's way over into the morning. So, you know, eventually I go home. We leave. And I remember I laid down, I took a nap, and I got back up. And my sister was like, you know, telephone. And so I go and get the phone. Now we had house phones, so I go get the phone. I'm like, you know, hello. And I hear somebody on the other end like, oh, cheery, hey. And I'm like, hello? Because I'm like, this ain't one of my girls, you know. Ooh, who is this? I'm like, and she's like, oh, you remember me? This Bella from the hospital. And I'm like, huh? And I'm like, how you get my number? And so she was like, well, I already knew about you because I followed him to your house one day. I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, you know, I followed him to your house one day when y'all were going out. I seen you come out and get in the car and everything. So I already knew about you or whatever. So I just called information and gave them your address and got your phone number. And I'm just on the other end, like just silent, just clueless. And she was like, but anyway, so since Jack says I can't come to the hospital unless you're there, you want to go to the hospital? I'm like, what? And she was like, yeah, you want to go to the hospital? I'll come and pick you up and everything. Y'all, I cannot make this shit up. I can't make this shit up. Yes. Yes. This girl done called me up. Knew about me the whole time. I have no clue about who she is. She done seen me before. Told me what I had on when we was going out. I mean, the whole nine. Like, and y'all, she offered to come and pick me up so that we can go to the hospital together because she couldn't be there unless I was there. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed my story time. Once again, it's your girl, Damaged Diva. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And until then, next time. Bye-bye.